Chair recognizes the distinguished Minority Whip, Mr. Scalise.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And second baseman.
Best second baseman in baseball, right? Thank the gentleman from Pittsburgh for yielding. Pirates are represented very well with you, and appreciate the opportunity to talk about this merger, some of the things that could potentially be done to increase the ability for consumers to be able to experience 5G. You know, you look at the growth in the industry and just, you know, what we're seeing in terms of more wireless usage, connectivity, the devices that are able to be connected, you know, and of course you see trillions of megabytes of data being used by Americans, and that number's increasing as people find out more uses. It creates more jobs, creates more opportunity, creates more efficiencies and improvements in people's quality of life. And I do think that's an important point to talk about as, you know, as Americans use so many more devices and rely on that increased amount of data that they're able to access. It does really improve their lives on a daily basis, just things that I know I'm able to do. You watch how it's able to allow people to do more things and in a much more effective way. I know you've talked about the jobs. I think, to me, some of the things that the Department of Justice should be looking at is, you know, if this merger goes through, would it help consumers? Will it help lower costs? Will it create more jobs? And I know you've talked about some of that in your testimony, Mr. Ledger. So if you could first talk about the ability for consumers to have more competition and have access to lower costs for the increased amount of data that they're using.
Thank you very much for the question. There's so much in what you said that's extremely important, including starting 5G. The promise of 5G is 100 times the speeds, 100 times the number of devices that can go on networks, 10 times the improvement in the response time or the delay that's created. Our new T-Mobile will provide 15 times the speed that we have now, up to 450 megabits average speed across the U.S., and users will go from an average of 10 gigs of data usage to 80, while the unit price will go down 87%. And the track record is there, especially with low-income users who have had a price decline and a disproportionate increase. So that's what this transaction with the DOJ heavily is about, showing the network modeling that will take this industry and significantly increase capacity and provide a pricing decline. And because of that network integration, how that will impact consumers, the offers that they have, and the utilization. And that's what the whole transactions review has been about thus far.
Yeah, I think the idea that not only can you see in your case 15 times the speed as well as lower cost, both of those are, I think, something that would be very attractive to consumers who shop around really good for all kind of products, but clearly data plans. You know, you watch the commercials, and the reason there's so many commercials is because there's a competition for consumers, because everybody knows how important it is to be connected. Now, you've talked about an integrated network plan, what these two companies can do to combine the resources that you have. I think hopefully one day, not too long from now, that little circle that you see when you're waiting for something to download will become a relic that the Smithsonian Institute might hold, because people won't have that problem anymore. You'll have to Google that. Well, what are you talking about? I don't know what that circle is you're referring to.
Sure, that will happen as soon as you switch to T-Mobile.
I see you're already well branded. You know, it's a nice opportunity to give a plug for, you know, for your products. And again, competition's what made this industry great. You know, when we look at what 5G can mean for consumers, because ultimately that's what we're trying to help make sure that consumers can have an even better experience. All this is coming from private investment. And, you know, this isn't government that's spending billions of dollars to build out these networks. It's companies like yours and other companies. And, you know, we know all the other players in this space. But, you know, here we're talking about this, you know, this potential merger, and how, I know what you talked about is how you can make those synergies work to provide an even faster experience and help you invest billions more to build that 5G network. Let's talk now about the jobs side of it. And I've heard numbers like 10,000 new jobs referenced. what kind of jobs are you talking about? I don't want to get into spectrum and some other things, but I'm not going to have enough time to get into all of that, maybe for the record later. If you can let me know about some of the combined spectrum assets of the companies and how that would be good for more innovation and opportunities. But on the job side, if you could touch on that as my last
Yeah, I'd be
question.
glad to. We've talked a bit today about customer experience centers, which are one of the core jobs in our company now. There'll be 5,600 new jobs, 2,000 expanded jobs in that, so about 7,600 in the customer experience centers. And those are good paying $45,000 to $50,000 wage jobs. There'll be about 11,800 people involved in network integration and deployment. There'll be 5,000 people in new retail stores, especially in rural America, and there'll be about 11,000 jobs created over the period for the new businesses we're going in, Internet of Things, video, broadband, et cetera, businesses that we aren't in now. So those are the key growth areas of new jobs.
Thanks, Mr. Ledger. Appreciate your testimony. Thanks for your discretion, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.